I'm excited to talk today about Todd's 10K 10 cup experience. So it's Sunday and I'm going live with my Wired Differently thoughts. And I really appreciate the feedback I've gotten on the first 4 shows. And I promise that I'll get better at this, but I'm only going to be myself. So I think we're all okay with that, because I think this whole Wired Differently experience, and I got in trouble for saying wired differently like that. Someone called me out the other day and said, am I a little country? So I will tell you this. I don't think I'm country, but I guess when I say wired, it comes off a little country. But I'm all about country people. I owned horses, showed horses all over the country. Actually was a world champion, 8th place in the world 8th place champion with halter horses back in the 2000s. So I have a little country in me when it comes to horses. So I have a real soft spot for horses and horse people and that way of life. So, but when I say wired, I think I got that. A friend of mine said it. His name is Chuck, and he's a great guy. And he said, wired differently. And so it just kind of, when I say wired differently, I want it to be the word wired, and I want it to be a little differently. So I'm wired differently. I call me a little country, a little city, a little rock and roll. I'm all the way above. But anyways, I want to talk to you today about drift, this whole concept of drifting and how important it is to me to understand what drift means and what everybody drifts. And in my book, Wired Differently, right? I wrote the very first chapter was called Drift. And it was a story about me drifting in life and how I got caught up in money the first time around when I had a really successful run. And I kind of abused the idea of being successful a little bit. And when I was selling things, I got caught up in thinking I was selling the right things to the right people and telling them what they needed to hear because it would help them and obviously help me. And, I left certain things out as I grew through it, things that I had picked and chose that they didn't really want to hear or need to hear. But it was all a great experience. It all turned out, for the most part, very well in the 90s when I helped build a publicly traded company. But it was this idea in my 30s where I just got kind of caught up in sales and money and lots of money and hitting the numbers and all the things that happened until I had this pivotal moment. I was on the stage of a church and I was preaching, and I was actually talking about Jesus Christ, our Savior. And I wanted to share the point to everybody. There was over 1,500 people in this congregation that Sunday morning, over 3 services. And I wanted to share with them about the truth of Christ. And so when I started to tell them about the truth of Christ, I said, I was talking about to tell the truth. And my examples of the telling the truth was George Washington and how he couldn't lie and he did chop down the cherry tree. And to tell the truth is important, but that Jesus Christ is the truth, the way, and the light was where I wanted to go with it. But when I started in the last service out of 3, I got on this tangent about you got to tell the truth too. You can't just be knowing this stuff about Jesus and being the truth. You've literally got to be truth tellers in this world. You've got to tell the truth. And so I always took pride in the fact that I told the truth. But it hit me when I was on that stage speaking that, to tell the truth isn't always exactly the right thing, because I know I got caught up in money and success early and had to build all over. I lost everything, started over. I let it go, and started over. But I got caught up in omitting I told, 80% of the truth, but I decided what the customer needed to hear on the other 20%, right? So I was picking and choosing, what was best for the prospective customer to hear in this publicly traded HR business world sale that I was in, because that's how we were bred, through this machine of sales. And so I'm literally on the stage, and the lights were coming down on me like this, and I was bald back in my late 30s, and it was really sweating because you notice I'm not sweating now because I was on the stage and I realized that I was here to tell the truth about Jesus, but I was convicted by Jesus to tell the truth that I wasn't disclosing all the truth all the time. And so as I was powering my way through this message to get to the truth of the gospel, I got stopped before the gospel by my conscience saying that, hey, wait a minute, before you can start telling these people about, the truth, the way, and the light, you better bring it on back. Beep, 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 beep. And let's talk about you, Todd, because you've been leaving out by omission the truth on certain things. And if you want to continue to build your business, your life, your family, and even be a part of this kingdom-minded mindset that I have for you, Todd, you got to tell all these people about omission. You got to come clean. And so I came clean on that stage that day. And by the time we got done with this 2-track, message I had, one was to tell the truth, don't leave things out. You got to clean that up. And on the other hand, I got done telling the truth and the gospel, and they all kind of came together, right? And so that was the message. But I had I had explained the fact that I had drifted in the book. Chapter 1, the drift. I explained that I had went through the drift. And so, I didn't plan on talking about all that right now. I wanted to actually fix my shirt here. But I wanted to talk to you about my 10K 10 cup experience. So you kind of set up the drift with that, massive story. It's literally changed my life and redirected me and actually propelled me to heights after 8 years of starting all over under the concept of being a better person in that regard. It really helped me where I'm at 55 now. And there's not a day I don't think about drifting. And so what I want to challenge you with is, so I think about Kevin Costner, right? So Kevin Costner, Dutton, the guy on Yellowstone. Everybody watch that show. It's sick. It's out of control. You can't stop. I would say don't watch Yellowstone. Because once you start watching it, you can't stop watching it. And, there's evil in it, and there's fun in it, and there's like this fantasy world of living in them. So I'm doing a commercial for this. But so Kevin Costner's in Yellowstone, but before that, he made a lot of, I always called him Mr. Epic. Dances with Wolves. What else was he in? You guys, Waterworld, which is, not a good one, but he was cool, and he's always cool in everything he does. But Mr. Epic, he's done just a lot of great films, but this one was called Tin Cup, and he was a professional golfer, and he was a very prideful golfer, and I think he might have even been a drinker or something like that. He lived in a trailer, I believe, but that really doesn't matter, other than the point that he was a very prideful man, and he was a very good golfer, and he really wanted to make it in the bigs, and so he finally got to the biggest golf tournament there was, but he was so prideful, and he was up like 3 strokes to win this whole golf tournament, Costner, right? And he's at the very last hole, and his caddy says, all right, play it safe here. Play it safe here. Play it smart here. I want you to take a 6-iron or something like that, and I want you to hit it, just lay it up in front of the green. Be safe, because there's water and stuff all around this hole. And Costner looks at his, caddy, says, that's a 7-iron all day for me. I got enough in a 7-iron to put it on that green. The guy's caddy says, no, you don't. You do in a normal day, but I don't think you see the wind. And just let's play it safe. We're up 3 holes. You give up a stroke here. You come in with a par instead of a birdie. We win this. We go home. We celebrate. Costner says, don't tell me what to do. I'm a 7-iron all day long here. The caddy says, okay, boss, whatever you say. Costner gets out there. Classic scene. Pulls out his 7-iron, takes that ball and just swings it. And it's just as beautiful as can be. It's up and sailing through the air, right? And plop into the water it goes. Oh my gosh, that's a stroke. He's got 3 strokes to give, right? And the guy says, here's your 6-iron. Just drop the ball. You can go up to closer to the hole, and you can take a wedge, and you're 1 shot there, and it's not going to be a problem. Costner says, give me a ball. And instead of moving the ball up, taking his penalty stroke at the water, he says, I can hit a 7-iron here. Drops the ball, takes 7-iron all the way to the green. It's flying up there, and oh my gosh, just short into the water again. If you remember this movie, your whole body's like, I can't even watch this. And the caddy says, let's go up there. Let's drop one more. We always drop one more. We can chip and putt, and we're out of here, boss. We're going to get this. Cottonser says, give me another ball. Drops the ball. Everybody in the stands is cringing. I'm cringing. You're cringing watching the movie. Takes out the 7-iron. Drives it. It looks beautiful again. And plop in the water. Now he's one stroke ahead. He's got at least 2 shots to get there. He's got a penalty shot. All he has to do is go up to the damn pond, drop the ball there, chip it in, go home. Worst case scenario, give me another ball. Drops it, hits it, misses again. Well, the point of this story is Costner is overrun with pride. So I want to tell about my story of my tin cup moment. And I challenge all of you out there that are watching this today. I mean, how many of you have a tin cup moment in your mind? I mean, that you think about, where pride has taken over. And I'm going to tell you, because the premise of today is drift. And drift is this idea of slowly losing your way. You know, your mom taught you things, your dad taught you things, your preacher taught you things, your coach taught you things, your daycare person taught you. All these people poured into your life, but at some point in time of life, everybody goes through this. We drift. You know, we drift. We just kind of lose our way, like I did before I was up there on the stage talking to all these people at church. I mean, I didn't really know I had lost my way till I was fortunate enough to be up there speaking. And so Costner's example of being prideful is one of these things that happens and drives us away from our focus in life. You know, we know how to be good. We know what we were taught. Even if we weren't taught it, we know inherently that we can be better. But it's just not top of our mind because we've drifted, we've rationalized. I'm going to make money, so I'm going to tell 80% of this because I don't think the other 20% is pertinent, and this is going to be a big paycheck for me, and they're going to save money. And, you know, we justify, we make everything work, and we're at our job, and we're working through things, and, you know, the promotion's on the line, and, you know, you just present 80% of the process, and, you know, we're out there doing life, and we leave out certain things because we don't want to actually convey the whole thing. Well, drift is this idea of slowly losing your way. And the problem with drift is if you don't realize in your drift, you continue to drift. And you don't drift closer to a goal. You drift farther away from a goal. You know, you drift farther away from life. And one of the ways you get into this drift cycle is this whole idea of complacency. You know, we get real comfortable, and when we get comfortable, we just placate comfort, and with same people, same food, same car, same job, same meals, same. So we never stretch and we don't really grow. And when we slowly stay comfortable, we drift. And when we're drifting, we're slowly slipping away because there's no such thing as maintaining. You're either getting bigger or faster. You're either getting bigger or smaller. You're getting smarter, or, you know, I don't want to say the dumb word, but you're getting less smart. You're getting stronger or weaker. You're getting more loving or less loving. You're getting more caring or less. You can't really balance perfectly on this line. So if you're staying in the same circle, same process, same rut, you're literally drifting. And sooner or later, you land in this place called the land of quo, where everything is just status quo. And you're slowly drift. And I like to think about it like an Alka-Seltzer dropping in a glass of water, you know, and that's your life when you're not looking or doing inventory for drift. It drops in the glass of water and it just slowly fizzles away. And you're left with sediments, right? And we don't want to be those people. I mean, we just need to be aware of it. And so this idea of conditioning ourselves to look for the drift is the beginning of not being average, right? In this wired differently world and way that I'm trying to ask you people to understand, because I've done all these things. I've done a lot of tough reps in the bad way, and I really feel compelled to share these things. And I know some people think I'm, you know, interesting in that regard. And, you know, but I'm just brave enough to tell you, man, don't drift. Didn't work for me. Ask my wife. She'll tell you straight up. She knows. So here's the deal. So my tin cup moment, just recently, I don't have all this feeling, because drift is what you do, and then drift again is what you do. So you're always constantly drifting in some way, shape, or form. But Wire differently, people looking not to be average are looking for this drift. Man, we're looking. Am I drifting? Hey, baby, did I get off course there a little bit? Hey, Heather, you were, I came in on the numbers all right, but I think I lost my focus and I'm taking us a different place. Yeah, Todd, Heather Davis, she'll tell me, you told me this is where we are, this is where we need to go. Now get it back here. That's my way of talking to Sammy or Todd Trent. They're like, hey, you tell us, Todd, you're not, focus, get back over here. You're drifting. And of course, my wife will tell you after 32 years that it's constantly a drift for me. So actually, my next book, more than likely, is going to be titled Drift Again. And it's almost done. It's going to be great. So here's where we are. My drift, my tin cup moment, right? And I'm going to get to the 3 Ps: pride, power, and plenty. These are the 3 things that cause drift: pride, power, plenty. The 3 things, the three things that cause drift are pride, power, and plenty. I'm going to talk about this. But so the other day, oh man, I was telling Bobby, he's my financial partner, and he's actually been my partner for 2 months longer than my wife. So that tells you anything. Bob Lang. I said, Bob, you don't believe I did the other day? He goes, what'd you do? I said, oh man, it's bad. I was at the office and I had the donut van, Tom's Donuts. Oh man, we had a great weekend this weekend. We got one more day. Come out and see us at Lake James, Angola Donuts. If you see me out there, I'm going to give you something free. So anyways, here's where we are. I'm pulling into the Pay Serve building, and I had the donut van, and it had racks in it, and I was going to unload these racks to stack all my Wire Differently shirts, my Tom shirts, my staffing shirts, all the fulfillment stuff. But I couldn't see out the back window, and there was a BMW on one side, and there was a Chevrolet, nice Chevrolet on the other side, and there was a gap. There was a hole, a parking spot right in between these 2 cars. And I'm like, I can hit that gap. I can back right in there, and I can back right in there. I know I can make that shot. I mean, it's just a 7-iron for me. I can make that shot right there. I can make that shot. I don't need any help. So I line it up, and I can't see through everything. One of these little backup mirrors in the Caravan. And I have this thing. I'm backing up. Beep, 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 beep. Bam! Oh my gosh! I hit the BMW. Right? I'm like, oh. I said something I probably shouldn't have said. I pull forward. I don't even get out of the car. I'm like, I know I can hit that gap. I can hit that gap. So the damage is done. So I recorrect, and I move over just a little bit. Beep, beep, beep. Back up. Bam! I hit the Chevy on the other side. So within like 30 seconds, I hit a BMW and a Chevy and tore that blue blazes out of my Caravan. 10 grand in damages in literally 10 seconds, more than likely, because I felt like I could hit that gap. And I was prideful at that point. Well, I go forward one more time, and I backed up, and I went extra slow, and I ever so slightly just slid it right into that gap. But the point of the matter is, I was so prideful. At one point, it's like, I don't care about the money or the car or the moment. I was angry. I was embarrassed in my skull and my brain and my mind. I was... I don't have an answer. So I backed the car up, van up, and I got the shelves out, and I went to both the people in the office, and I had to explain to them that I don't know what happened. Some hit and run guy came by. I tried to run him down, but no. I told him exactly what happened. And of course, we all had a little laugh after I got one of the people a new car and got the other person a new paint job. And of course, my van is still all beat to heck. But that was my 10 grand, 10K moment. And I'm going to wrap all this up because I think it's fun to talk to you and I get going. And I know people probably say, oh, God, when do we stop? But here's where we are. Drift. We know what drift is. Slowly losing your way. Here's what we need to do is look for the drift. I want you to look for this drift. I want you to understand that drift is eminent in your life, right? And I want you to do inventory on your life. I want you to look at the good things that you have, all the things that you've got going for you. And I want you to also look for things that are not going well in your life, whether it's your marriage or your children relationships, your businesses. I think you need to be aware of these things because if we don't put our eyes on those and we make excuses for them and we fill in the cracks and we do all this justification, rationalization, we do all these things and we don't face it head on and do inventory and say, whoa, I did that wrong. I'm drifting. Then all of a sudden you're going to wake up and you're going to be out of a wife. You're going to be out of a business. You're going to be out of a loving relationship with a child. You're going to have discourse with the company you're working with. You're going to be probably looking for a job. You're going to, you can't turn your head on drift. You have to be aware of it. And so the three things that would cause drift is pride, power, and plenty. And so that's why I tell you about the tin cup moment. Is that's a good example of, Doug, wired differently, Todd, just being stupid, right? I put myself in front of the moment and other people's property, and because I knew I could make that shot, right? So, that's pride. Pride. Let me read this to you. Pride. This is in my workbook, Wired Differently workbook. And so drift is what happens when you slowly and unknowingly lose your way, slipping away from the beliefs and disciplines you once established as your guiding light. It happens to all of us, but it's this. People who are willing to do inventory and look for the drift, face it head on, do the reps necessary, and get back on course. You don't want to be average. Let's be not average. Let's be wired different. Let's be different than these people. Let's get out ahead of this, right? So here's what we got. The first one is pride. Pride in that you're unwilling to admit you've strayed off course. So, pride. I won't ask for gas, directions to get gas. I won't use the 6-iron when I know it's the best shot. I won't stop trying to park a car in between two other cars because I'm more important in my pride that I could do something. It's a little example, but 10 grand's not a lot. That's not a lot to sneeze at. 10 grand is significant, right? But pride will ruin your life, cause you to drift because we don't want to face the truths about ourselves. I once did a speech called "The Scary of Going Bald," and it was this whole story about me, trying to prove to myself from my 20s and 30s that I wasn't going bald. So I used different shampoo. I used Jeramac. I even used the Ron Popeil hairspray. And then finally, I just had to look in the mirror and said, Todd, you're going bald, damn it. You got to figure this out. Just own it, shave that off, and get going. Quit trying to cover it up. We can't cover things up in our life, okay? Pride. Get all moving down the road. There's no time for pride. Pride is the biggest problem in the U.S. of A. It's the biggest problem in our politics. It's the biggest problem in difficult marriages. It's the biggest problem in fighting, struggling businesses. Pride is the most destructive P of this process I'm going to tell you, but I got two more for you. So pride, let's move on down the road and get this over. Power. Power is the belief that you are the master of your circumstances. So power, if pride doesn't cause you to drift, if pride doesn't take you down, then you got power hanging around. So I'm guilty of all these. Right, I'm running on, but listen if you want. But power now, that one there, power. I love power, man. And any business person out there, let me tell you something. Any business person, I'm revving up now. We might go all. Any business person that tells you that they don't enjoy power is a liar. Power is really why we do this. But we want power to work for us and for other people. I do, but that whole idea of grabbing power gets away from us sometimes and we drift with it. That's why we got to be looking for it. I have to look for it. I have to have, I'm not trying to be so hard on myself, but I'm telling you, I have an army of people, in most regards, that are there to let me understand that these are good decisions. Don't let your pride mess you up, Todd. Don't let your power take you to a different place, because you do have influence of others. And if you're not using it right, Todd, you're a bad person. You don't want to be a bad person. So wired differently person, and you don't want to make such a big deal out of this wired differently, because I've done this, I've learned it, and I've hurt people, I've hurt myself, I've hurt my marriage, I've hurt my children, right? So just pay attention. Just pay attention to me. If pride doesn't get you, power's next. You don't have power. You don't have power. You think you have power, Todd, but you don't have power. There's always someone above you. There is. So get over it, Todd. Pride, power, and the last one, plenty. Now, plenty, there's one. I had a guy come up to me the other day, and he said, Todd, I just want to tell you how I'm doing. Things are going really well, and took some of your advice. We moved some things around, and this question keeps coming up to me, Todd. When is enough enough? And I've had a lot of people ask me that. But plenty, I think we got to get off track here and realize that plenty and owning things is not really how you keep score. I think the idea of having success in whatever you do, if it's growing a yard without weeds and you accomplish that, that's success. To me, that's as big a success as anything. You start adding up the right targeted successes and you become what we call a successionaire. And that ends up bringing you good things, good favor, and good life. But this whole idea of plenty is, hey, I'm just going to back the car up and I'm going to hit that hole, or I'm going to just use my 7-iron, because not to pride all of a sudden, because I know that I have plenty if I don't make the right decision. Plenty is the sneaky one. Plenty, that's why I think God, he fills me up, and then I'm always on edge. I'm always doubling down, it seems like, or starting something different, because if I have too much plenty, I'm not stretching anymore, or I'm getting comfortable, and I fall off course, or I start to drift myself. I go into this comfort zone, and it wears me out. I'll die young probably, but I think that's one gift God has done to reconcile me with the three P's: pride, power, and plenty. And he made me aware of the gift of drift. The gift of drift is the gift I'm giving you today. The gift of understanding that drift is occurring most likely in all of your lives somewhere. I can't tell you how many people have read my book, wrote me a letter, and said, listen, I was drifting. I got to get out of the land of quo. I've even had people leave their jobs and move to different states, start all over, start new companies, and tell me the success story. It's remarkable. But the point of the matter is, let's talk about plenty. Because you have a lot doesn't mean you can't drift, doesn't mean you can't get off course, doesn't mean you aren't focused. I mean, some of the most wealthy people in the world are the most miserable people in the world because they have plenty. Let me tell you something. The Bible clearly tells you this, and we're going to close on this. It's easier to put the camel through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to inherit the kingdom of God. Watch this. It's easier to put the camel through an eye of a needle, which we all know is impossible, than it is for a rich man to inherit the kingdom of God. Well, why is that? Why do they say that in the Bible? Why is plenty even involved? Because a rich man has plenty. Well, if you have plenty, then you don't need others. You become self-sufficient, and your world is the only one that matters. Your brain, you're a narcissist because you have plenty. I must be brilliant because I've got millions of dollars to pay. I must be a special person because I have $2 billion and nobody has that kind of money. I don't personally have that. I'm not saying it. Those people, because if they get caught up in plenty, it's easier for them to not seek God. It's easier for them not to seek help. It's easier for them not to seek advice. It's easier for them to push their way through life and say, I got plenty. Why do I need you? Listen what I have to say because I have plenty. No. I've caught myself thinking those things. Drifting. I don't know. So this is Todd today. And I had some banners all up here for you. Let's see what we can do with banners. But I was going to give you these. So I want you to understand that drift is just slowly losing your way, losing your course. And we need to do inventory. We need to be looking out for drift all the time. Drift. Let's reconcile ourselves. Let's find our drift. Let's bring it on back. And the three things that cause the drift in our life: pride, tin cup moment. Pride. Use the 6-iron. Damn it. Get over yourself, Todd. Use the 6-iron. Listen to your caddy. Put it up there. Win the deal. Have some extra. Give it to some friends. Move on down the road. Todd, you can't hit the gap between two beautiful cars that aren't yours. Why risk doing that? Listen, power, Todd, let me tell you something, Todd. You don't have power. You don't have power. There's always someone bigger, faster, stronger. My dad told me, there's always someone with more money, more power, and you're going to meet your match. Don't even play that game. Rise above it. Be above it. Be that person, that dude, that individual that says, I don't have power. I want to help you. And the last thing is plenty. I don't care how much you have. There's someone with more. And I got to tell you something. There's no amount of money or things or anything on this earth that can overcome this idea of finding your way to the higher ground, helping others, the kingdom, heaven, all these things, depending on where you're at. I mean, these are the intangibles in life that are the most important things, and plenty isn't the way. Remember, it's easier to put a camel through the eye of the needle, which is impossible, than for a rich man to inherit the kingdom of God. Think about that. Think about that. Well, listen, this has been I wanted to get 15 minutes out of the way and knock something out and give you something to think about. But this is great. I hope we get some nice comments. I don't do the comments while I'm because I just want to be engaged in the process. But listen, I'm here in Angola, Indiana. I'm going back to Florida Wednesday. And thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of this. And I'll see you next Sunday. Appreciate everything you guys are doing. This is Todd Saylor, and I'm wired differently and out. Thanks, guys.